Hello friends, welcome back. You are watching third video in Healthcare Management Strategy app built in Flutter and Firebase. In first video, I've shown you a quick demonstration of the application. Second video, I've shown you how to install this application on your local environment. This is third video continuing the same series. In this video, we are going to set up a complete developed environment and start coding in Flutter and Firebase. In this video, we'll cover following topics. First thing, I'll show you how to set up your project, include and update remove packages. Next thing is we'll cover how to implement custom style branding. That means changing your favicon icons, SVGs, how to work with the local and remote images. And next thing, we'll also show you URL opener and how to use incorporate web view. And if time permits, we'll cover the form validation topics. Video and all the following videos are mainly for developers. So let's get started. First thing you want to do, create app. So I'm going to open my VS Code environment. At this point, I assume you already have a successful Flutter installation. First thing I want you to do, Flutter Doctor. It's always a good idea to always keep checking your Flutter configuration. So as you can see, I do not have Android, but I have everything else. Because I'll be mainly building this a Flutter app, I do not need Android. So let's go clear the screen again. This time, I want to create a new directory, mkdir HMS. Okay, because I already have an existing directory with the same name, it's not allowing me to do that. Let me go cd into that. So let's go cd into HMS directory. And inside this HMS directory, the command to create a new Flutter app is flutter create and give the application name. So in my case, I'm going to say HMS app. Now this time it's going to take few seconds, or depending on your machine, it may take a minute to create this application. And as you can see, automatically it will go and get all the packages required to complete this installation. So installation is done. Let me go ls into this one. Let me go cd into HMSS. So this is the directory I just created. And always, please, first thing you want to do, you want to locate your publicspec.yaml file. This is where all the packages are documented. So make sure you see this file here. Now it's time to run this application. What you can do here, flutter run -d chrome. What this command will do, it will quickly open a Flutter web version. All right, so I have a Chrome window opened up. Let me just maximize this so that you can see it better. Now let's go back to terminal window and you will see another URL. This is very useful functionality in newer Flutter versions. So copy paste this URL, and this, what it does, this opens a debugger kind of a window. And this is a very useful window. What you can do, this window tells you the entire layout about your Flutter application. So let's go copy paste this URL and it will open the debugger window. Awesome. This looks great. It's another very useful extension, simple browser inside your VS Code. What it does, it opens a simple browser inside the VS Code. So you don't have to switch from Chrome to VS Code. Everything will be in VS Code window. So let me go try running this here. It looks good. Okay, all right, so your application is ready. Now let's go browse through each and individual file here. First thing I want to do here, let's open the README file. This is the file where you usually write information about your application. So it's a good idea to please keep this file current and make notes here. All right, next thing I want you to check is publicspec.yaml file. This is the main file where all the packages used inside your applications are documented. So let me change the description as well. All right, healthcare management app. Perfect. Let me save these two files. Now let's go to index.html. As you can see, just at this point, I'm not going to change anything yet, but just quickly take a look at this index.html, because this is the file which is, and as you can see, it calls the favicon.png. Now let me show you what this favicon.png is. Whenever you serve your application over your Chrome window, you will see an icon. This is the icon of your home page. So make sure that, by default, Flutter gives, obviously, they deliver their own favicon.png, but obviously this is not something you want to use. So create your own favicon icon here, which reflects your company logo or whatever application you are serving. And please make sure you change this file appropriately. All right. And there's another file. Let me go see. So just take a moment and go through all the different file structure here. You will see build, iOS, Android. Just familiarize yourself, and most of the time the code you will be writing inside this lib directory. And the first file you will see is main dot dot. This is the main entry point of your application. So this is where everything begins. Whenever the first application is served at the first time, whether iOS, Android, or web, this is the file which is called. So index.html file refers to this main dot dot. So we'll start, this is your entry point of your application, and we'll start making changes to this your application by first changing main dot dot file. Now before we start making changes to main dot dot, let's review pubspec.yaml one more time. This is the file where I will list all the packages I will need in my application. Usually the way to do this is you know as you go. So for example, you need an HTTP package, so you list out the package, save as, and then you go back to your development. In my case, because I already know the packages I will need to build my application, let me just do it one time, and I can always come back to make changes here. But this time, let me just list out all the packages I need which are required. So for example, HTTP, this is definitely one of them. And please make sure that when you're working with the YAML file, these are the indentation. So you have to hit the tab and make sure all the packages you are listing, they are properly indented. So hit the tab. Okay. Now I want to list out all the packages here. HTTP. There are a couple of other packages, rx dot, and again I will cover those things in future videos. We'll go through each and everything in so much details. But for now, let me just list out all the packages which I think at this point I will need. URL launcher and Firebase core, Firebase authentication. All right, this looks pretty good. So as soon as I save this file, one thing you will notice, this VS Code is smart enough that it recognizes that you have made changes to pubspec.yaml file. The moment you save it, what it's going to do, it automatically runs the Flutter pubget. If you do not see that happening, you can always go back to your terminal window and type the command manually, Flutter pubget. All right, let me save this. So in my case, as you can see, is automatically started downloading all the packages here. It will, again, depending on the speed of your internet, it may take few seconds or it may take up to a minute. In my case, it's pretty fast. As you can see, you can always check it's a good idea to check the log and make sure that all the packages you intended to install, those are installed properly or not. So exit code 0 means everything is installed appropriately. Now let's move on to the next topic. Let's head out to lib directory and start creating a couple of the new folders. So here all I'm doing, I am creating a structure to keep all the files inside my application. So for example, all the shared file will be kept under shared folder. Other folder I want to create is business logic. So all the business logic will be under the blocks folder. Another folder I can create is views. So here all the models, for example, models is the data models, and another folder I want to create is views. Views will have all the front end UI pages, everything will be out there. Inside views, let me create first file called app.dot. Now again, as you saw, app.dot will be my main entry file here. I'll come back to this later. Inside the shared directory, let me create a couple of more files. Now again, all of these files will be shared among all the different other pages. So this is the reason I'm keeping it under the shared directory, like custom forms, custom style, and these are like it's always good idea if you want to give a unique look and feel to your application. Always keep all your style sheets or HTML kind of or look and feel kind of stuffs inside those components. For example, all the components which you'll be sharing among other applications, keep under custom components. Same thing goes with the styles and everything. All right, so let me create. So I'm done with creating these three files. Now let's go back to your main.dot file. Here, what I want to do, as you can see, I'm going to get rid of everything. Now I will keep thing very, very simple here. Now here, as you can see, void main and run app. First thing it expects is my app. So I'm not going to keep anything out there in this file. Everything will be, because I just created a file called app.dot. Let me import that file here. So import, and I'm going to give the path to that views folder what I just created, and inside the views folder I will give the path to app dot dot. As you can see at this point, this doesn't know what my apps is, so it's giving an error. That's okay, and we are going to fix this error. But I'm going to keep my main dot dot very clean and nothing is out there. Idea is to have app dot dot is my next entry point. Now inside this app dot dot, first thing I want to change is the name. So usually the convention is the file name should match with the class name. So I'm going to change this to app. I'm here. Let me start creating some more files. First file I want to create is about us dot dot. Another file I want to create is sign up. So these are all the files, the supporting files. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to create a login authentication system. To support that, I will be creating a couple of static files here. Right now, there is no logic. So very simple files I'll be creating: about us, sign up, login, settings, and everything. As you can see, I kept those under a new folder called auth. So it's always a good idea to lay out your structure of your application in such a way that all the related files are kept together inside a folder. All right, so as you can see, now let's go create an about us dot. So as you can see, VS Code gives you a very handy shorthand. So just type the stateless widget, and later on we'll change. Don't worry about what is stateless versus stateful. So right now I'm just going to create a very simple stateless widget here. Okay, as you can see, it's giving some error. And the reason is because I haven't imported the Flutter material package here. So everything in Flutter is a widget. So first thing, to create a stateless widget, you need to import the Flutter package. So Flutter material, all right. And here now I create that class. And as you can see, I want to keep it very simple right now. So all this widget does, it displays a text message saying this is an about us page. This is an about us page. All right. This looks good. Let me save this. Now same thing I want to do for rest of the pages. So let me, either you can copy paste, or you can go to that file and let me just copy paste, or you can always use your VS Code extension to dynamically create a stateless widget for you. So here let me create a login page here. Okay, same thing goes with sign up. Sign up page. This looks good. Okay, settings, one last thing. And you will see later on how I'm using this page. But for now, let's just create some very simple widgets. Settings. Okay, it's giving me some warnings here. Okay, let's go back to app.dot now. Now let's start building apps.dot. So first thing I want to do here, as you can see, this is still given an error. So let's go fix this error first. First thing I want to do, import Flutter material package here. Flutter material. All right. Next thing I want to do, I want to create a stateless widget, just like I've done it for other pages here. Now let's give it a name, saying app. Now this app, because this is the entry point here, and as soon as you create this app, you will notice that your error in that your main.dot file will disappear, because now it knows where to find that app widget. All right, let me save this. I'm seeing one more error here. Let's go to widget test. Okay. Now this is the testing file automatically created by your Flutter project installation. So let me make the change here, and hopefully that will fix this problem. Let me import this here. I have to give the full path so that it can locate the app.dot file, change the app class name. Okay, now everything looks good. So you always have to, keep watching all the files that you should not supposed to see any error anywhere. Okay, now let's go back to app.dot. Okay, back to your widget. Again, now as you can see, I already created a lot of different dot files here. So let me start importing those here, even though I don't need those right now, but let me start importing other files. So Cupertino, another Flutter material based UI package. So I just imported that as well. And now let me import all the custom dot files what I just created: about us, login, sign up, settings. And those I can locate under the auth folder. And as you can see, you will see everything is blue. Blue means it's the VS Code tells you that you are still imported, but you are still not using these files anywhere. That's why you are seeing those in blue. And it's always a good idea to keep checking what's you are including the code and make sure that actually using it. So we'll come back to this later. and hopefully once we start using it, the errors will go away. Sorry, I mean to say warnings will go away. If you are having error, then definitely it's not going to compile. So all these warnings, all the blue tickers warnings, that will go away once you start using it. Now let's go back to your app dot dot, and here the fun begins. So fun part is, let me go start working on the main body of your app dot dot. So I'm going to get rid of the container. I will create a material app. So again, this is a widget, and I highly recommend you mouse over to this material app and read the documentation. So the more documentation you read, you will get an idea what is inside that material app widget is available here. Inside this widget, it expects a title. For now, I'm not going to put a comment, but let me just put it and make it a comment. So give it a title, and this usually is your name of your application. Next thing is theme. Now theme is basically is a combination of your style sheet of the colors and the layout of your application. So theme, as you can see, it expects theme data. So theme data is another function. You can call it a function, and inside the theme data you have to pass couple of variables here. Primary swatch. So what primary swatch is that you want to give a bluish theme to your entire application. So this is the good idea to include all of those elements here. Primary swatch means the primary your application will adapt to these colors. You can always make changes appropriately depending on the different pages. You can give it a different color, but the primary by default colors will be primary swatch. And I just for the home, I created a fake widget here. Home is home page, and we'll build this widget in a minute here. Set one more variable here, debug check banner. I'm going to set it to false. Routes is another parameter you want to define here. So routes is, again, these are your hyperlinks inside your application. So for example, if you want to click on a button and you want your app to browse to another file, this is the place you want to do that. So in my case, as you can see, let me start. So we have already imported all the different pages here. Say, for example, say about us and login and settings. So let me start creating those routes here. So right now, for example, as of now, I'll just disable those, but and I'll come back those as we build those pages. I will start uncommenting those one at a time. But let me just go and create those routes here. Awesome. Next thing I want to do is style part. So remember, that's what I was talking about. Create all your style related elements inside your shared folder. So in custom style dot dot, as you can see, the C app title. So instead of hard coding your title here, it's always a good idea to keep all the labels and fonts and everything, keep it under the custom file here. So I'm going to create a new variable called C app title, and the same thing, for example, C navigation text, and you want to give it a color. So, create one text style, keep it here, and use that text style over and over again all over your place. So what it does is that, enforces the custom design and custom style throughout your application. Even if you forgot to, change the color on your one page, it will, as long as, it inherits you keep all those defined inside a custom style dot dot, you can, at the common place, you'll be able to use it, reuse it over and over again. All right, so let me go back, and this time let's go create a C primary swatch. Okay, so I'm going to create a constant C primary swatch, and as you can see, I'm going to call another widget called material color. Again, if you read the documentation, you will see what the material color expects. As you see, it's expecting a primary color, and then it expecting a map. That means a what do you call that, a dictionary like element. So for example, you give it a number and you map it to a different color from your RGB stack. Again, you can go through all this documentation here. Basically, all I'm doing, I'm just creating a couple of color widgets, or whatever you want to call it. Sorry. Okay, let me go create the C primary swatch. Okay, and all I need to do here, as you can see, as long as you define that, your error will go away. So we have defined C app title, C primary, everything is in app style, and I'm just using those things here. This looks good. Now let's go start building this new widget home page. So let me create another widget here. At this point, as you see, this is a stateless widget, and let me create a scaffold app. Now, a scaffold app is another widget, and it's really, it gives a nice look and feel to your application. It has a title bar and app bar and the main body content. So, you can, so let me include the app bar here. App bar again is of type app bar. Now app bar is another widget. As you can see, if you browse through the documentation, you will see what app bar has. It has a leading title, and the actions button at the top right corner. So it lays out your app structure very nicely. So this is the reason I'm going to choose app bar. Likewise, app bar expect a leading and title. So at the leading, that means at the top left hand corner, I want to include an and clickable button there. So I'm going to include an icon button, and what I will do, I want to, the default behavior I want to achieve. If a user clicks on that leading button, it should take that person to the About Us page. So as you can see, I'm going to, include that button, click on that on press, and on press, I'm going to, call that navigation.push action item on this. So by default, I will give it an About Us context. That means my route name is About Us. So make sure earlier, if you remember, we included those route names in our app.dot file right here. And later on, once the About Us page is ready, I'm going to uncomment that. So for now here, this looks good. Let's include a title here. So title equals to, again, instead of hard coding, I'm going to use that constant. C app title, and this is the constant. If you recall, we already declared that in custom.style file. So title equals to C app title, and then next thing I want to include the body part. What I want to do, I want to include a list view. So good thing, advantage of working with the list view is that it creates an scrollable space inside your widget. So you don't need to worry about if you include more and more fields, automatically, it will include the scrolling functionality. So at this point, list view, and inside the list view, I'm just simply going to use a widget called login, and we'll create that, widget in a minute. Let me also start this app. As a matter of fact, instead of login, let's use the About Us page, because this is the page we just created already. So About Us, you can include any of this thing, the starting point of your application, it could be login or About Us. So because About is already ready, let me just include that. Test my application, Flutter run -d Chrome. So now let's see, app is compiling. At this point, I want to see my app compiling, and if there is any error, things like that, I want to fix that. All right, so looks like it's not compiling well. Let me just open the developer console. So as you can see, this is what I suspected. This is complaining about the Firebase core. Okay, I'm not even using Firebase at this point. So let's go open the pubspec.yaml file. Oh, I remembered, because this we included a couple of default packages here. We are not even using that. So this is what is causing that error. Let me get rid of this. Save this thing here again. Okay. Now let's hit R. It's going to recompile the application, and hopefully the error will be fixed now. So again, at this point, my entry point of application is About Us page. See, this is the About Us page. And if you click on the left hamburger menu item, it should take you to the About Us page, which is not the behavior I want, but I just want to test out the functionality. So my app is working as expected. Now let's go start working towards those files. Awesome. So the ideal behavior I wanted whenever my application opens up, actually this has to be a login page. First time when the user logins, and the left top hamburger menu item should take that user to About Us page. If I click on that, this is the right behavior. But as you can see, if I click on this, it removes all the app bar and everything. And the reason is because if you go to the About Us page, it's not displaying any app title or app bar, because it's not in a scaffold. It's a very simple About Us static stateless page here. So let's go back to your About Us page now, and let's start working towards that. So here, as you can see, let me just remove all of these things here, because ideally what I want this to be a stateful widget. And the reason is because, I want some other behavior where state will be kept in this widget. So let's go change this to stateful widget. All right. Let me just give it a name, About Us. So I'm going to retain that same name here. Now, inside that About Us, what we want to do here, instead of the container, so let's start working on the main body part. What I want to give it a look and feel of the scaffold widget. So let me get rid of the container here and include that scaffold. Now, once you include the scaffold, I expect you to give the same, app bar and title and all the action items. Just redefine all of those things here. Let me include those things. scaffold, app bar. And likewise what we did in app.dot file here, I'm just going to include the app bar, and simply app bar will have a leading icon, and also will have a title. So leading icon, and I'm going to give it icon button, just like the same behavior I want to achieve. So here, however, when I click on this leading icon here, it should take me back to the main root of that application. All right. On this on pressed, I'm going to include that navigator dot push. Okay, and I'm going to push that route to, say, root of the application. Okay, context. All right, it looks good now. Okay, so now my navigator is set. Now next thing I want to include, now fix the title here. So let's go get rid of this new, because it's giving me an error here. All right, so title, and again we have already hard-coded the title here in our custom title style constant. So let me just include that constant here. Sorry, I have to find the right place to include the title. It should be inside app bar widget. Okay, title equals to C about us title, and I don't think we defined C about us title constant here, but anyway, let's go include this thing here, and C about us. Awesome. Let's go to custom style file, port custom.style. Okay, now let's go inside this custom style.dot file, and here I'm going to include and define a new constant C about us title equals to about us. About us. Save. So at this point my application should show no error, and it should compile well as well. Okay, everything looks good. Let's work on our body part now. So inside the body, just like what we did in app.dot, we will include a list view, because it gives you an scrollable area. So list view. What you can also do, you can include that material card. Card is, again, it's a very cool looking widget. It gives you a 3D effect at the corner of that, where the card is displayed. So material card. And inside that card, actually, you can also include the list tile. Good thing about the list tile is it expects, because, and about us page, what we want to display is text. And every text, we want to lay out the text in a structure where you'll display the title, subtitle, little bit of description, and maybe there are some links. So this is the reason I'm choosing this material card. Again, please feel free to, as per your business requirement, again, you can work with the widgets, with the look and feel, work with your UI designer, and whatever works well for your application, please include the design. So design part. Okay, I'm just going to keep the design very, very simple here. List tile, and I'm going to include a title, subtitle, and description, and a couple of actionable items here. So nothing big. And I'm just going to include some text and subtext. That means title and, again, title and description. All right. So other than title and description, I can also give it a leading icon here. Again, it gives you a very nice look and feel to your text. Just including a simple SVG or any kind of icon, it highlights your text. So leading, I'm going to include an icon by default, and then just include the text and description. Text, description. One thing is bothering me since the beginning of this application. This newer Flutter version, as you can see, it keeps on giving you those blue linting suggestions. So those are not actual error, but it's compiler, or SDK is complaining about something missing, that you didn't include the constant, right? So what you can do, I believe, under the linting section somewhere there is a setting where you can just disable that warning, At this point, these are just warning. These are not actual error. So maybe your SDK or compiler is suggesting that you should include everything as constant, something like that. So you can always work on your linter setting, and perhaps I will explore this little later. But as of now, this looks, you see the linting is not complaining about, there's no more warning. It looks good now. Okay, so let's just finish it off this page with some more text item here. Again, this is static text. It's all about the information about this app. So all I can do is here copy paste and include so that my page looks little full. That's the reason I'm just copy pasting and repeating that text. Again, in ideal world, you should include as much as information as you want about your application. This is your chance. About us should, and it should tell the user what this application is about. So please include relevant text. I'm just going to copy paste this thing. Okay, let me save this thing here. This looks enough now. Next thing I want to do here, let me just save everything and try to run this application one more time and see what it looks like. And I also want to check if there is any error in the application. This goes to the login page. If I click on this shows the about us page. All right, in this section now, I want to cover two more functionalities. One is the URL launcher and SVG icon. So this is not plain simple HTML, and these are not hyperlinks that if you click on this and it takes you to another page. The way to do that in Flutter is through URL launcher. And again, let me show you how to include the SVG icons to your application. So you can work through this new package, Flutter SVG and URL launcher. I'm going to import those two packages here. So now let's go include a link somewhere in this text which can take you, so that I can display that if you click on that link, it should open another URL here. So I'm going to find a place. Let's add a size box to create some space. And after this size box, this is where I'm going to include that link. And even before I include the link, let's go create a couple of variables here. So first variable is future wide. I'm going to say launched, and this launch variable is going to capture the state whether that URL has been launched or not. For some reason it's giving error. Okay, it's complaining about the. Okay, let me include late. Okay, so now late, future wide, launched, and next thing I want to create a function called launch in browser. Again, this is going to be an asynchronous function, so it's going to be of type future. So future wide, launch in browser, and I'm going to mark this function an async. Now what this function does, it expects a URL. It inputs a URL, and whatever URL it gets is going to call that launch in browser function. So, and it will open that URL inside that. So again, I'm going to wrap this whole thing in an if and else block. So a good idea, it's always a good idea to wrap your function and capture the error. If the URL is not launched, you want to display that error. Hey, this application is not able to display that URL for some reason. So in the if block is going to can launch will check if the URL is launchable or not, and in the else block is going to display the error that URL cannot be displayed. Okay, so let's go back to our size box. So after size box, now it's time to include an SVG icon there. So Flutter SVG is already included. Here after the size box, I'm going to include SVG. So let me just first create a row widget. Inside that row widget, I'm going to include a couple of different icons here. So SVG icon, I think it's just an SVG picture. Okay, so row children, and then I'm going to include icon button, and here I will say icon, and SVG picture, I think it's just SVG picture. So again, go through the documentation, mouse over that, it will tell you what SVG picture is expecting. I think it's expect a URL. And this is where your SVGs are. Again, it could be included in your local assets directory, or this time it could be in any. For example, I already have hosted over the GitHub, so I'm just going to copy paste that link here. This is the link where my SVG icon is hosted there. So make sure that this links exist, this SVG icon exists, otherwise it will complain that it's not able to find that SVG icon. So let me include that. At the same time, I can give it some styling options like colors and couple of other, whatever the way you want to decorate your SVG here. I'm just going to keep it very, very simple. Now in this on pressed event, this is where I want to, launch that URL. So on pressed, and here what I want to do, I want to create a set state. Now what set state is, actually whenever you call that, it forces your widgets to rebuild itself. So for example, if I click on these things, I want an action to be done, and then at the same time, otherwise your Flutter widget will not know that something has happened. So this is the reason I'm going to wrap it under set state. So inside that set state, what I want to do here, again, remember the two variables, one variable and one function we included, launched and launch in browser. So all I'm going to do, pass this launched variable here, and launched equals to launch in browser. Okay, and call this function, and inside that function I'm going to pass that URL. So this is the YouTube icon, for example. So I'm going to pass this URL here. Okay, let's see, can save and refresh that. See, the icon is displayed, and if I click on this, it should open that URL. Wonderful. This is how you include the URL navigation feature in your application. So this is it from this in this video. In next video, we are going to start working on the HTML forms validation, etc.